Hey, welcome to Jeff Outdoors. It is a Saturday night, and I am just here once again in the old Homestead Supply Room, and just getting my thoughts gathered from the day and the week and the month and the year and everything. I know 2020 has been a really odd year for many people. I personally found that 2020, while the pandemic raged on in its early months, there was actually a lot of positive and good things in my world going on during that time, during the summer, and it's hard to believe, right? But it really was true. Had some successes this past year in the garden. Had some not so successful things. Learned a lot. Actually, learned a lot about cabbage in the garden, which was I had never planted cabbage before, and I was in a conversation with a local Amish man down the road regarding what to do about my cabbage worms. And he was able to give me a little bit of the organic remedy to get rid of the cabbage worms, and that was great. You know, I learned more about the gardening aspect in 2020. Had some success with my squash and my tomatoes and my potatoes. I planted potatoes in my leaf bins. I've not seen anybody do that before. I came up with that a couple years ago. I set up some leaf bins that I was going to use for growing potatoes. It's kind of like a raised bed for growing potatoes, I guess you could call it, but it's essentially using the autumn leaves as a nutritional bedding, so to speak, for the potato growth. So that was good. Those were good things. But you know, as somebody who's essentially been going back and forth to work throughout the entire pandemic year 2020, working alone at work essentially. First couple of months there were no traffic on the roads. That was actually pretty nice for me. You know, that sounds funny, but it really was, because I actually gauge the health of a society by the way people drive. And what do I mean? You guys, driving a car, there's a couple of things we need to talk about. I didn't want to bring it up, but it's been the elephant in the room. Let's call them elephants in the room. There's a little mechanism on cars. They've been around for a while. They're right next to the steering wheel. It's called a turn signal. You just flip it down, or you flip that bad boy up. What tells the guy behind you if you're going left or if you're going right. Now, if you can't do that, you shouldn't be driving a car. It's a good thing I'm not a police officer. If I pulled you over, I'd just take your driver's license and chuck it in the weeds. You'd be done. All right, you're done. So, you know, widespread, nearly across the board, people just don't use their blinkers anymore. Tailgating has to be off the charts when it comes to drivers. You know, for people who like to obey the speed laws, you know, posted 45 or 40 miles an hour, the people that travel around that speed limit very closely, when somebody is in their car and the person in front of them isn't going as fast as they want them to do, what do? They become a road bully, and they tailgate to try to push that guy. So you're trying to push that guy ahead of you to go faster, right? I see that every single day. not just behind my car, but in people up in front of me. It doesn't matter whether I'm driving or not. You see it all over the place. Not cool. I mean, this is what we have in our society, is this thought that when you're driving a car that this is my road, you're in my way, right? No, that's not your road. First off, you should have left the house sooner. Just saying. Maybe I'll get a bumper sticker and put it on the back of my car. You should have left the house earlier, or you should have left the house sooner. You know, something like that. Maybe that'll get people thinking more about whose road it really is. Guess what? It's everybody's road. And the road bullying, I mean, I see it all the time. But I gauge the health of society by the way people drive their cars, to be quite honest. It never used to be this bad. Like back in the 90s, when I first started driving back in early 1993, people just weren't as people just weren't as bold on the roads. I guess I started noticing it bad maybe about 15 years ago. So maybe around the 2005-6 mark, people really started abandoning their turn signals. Just a lot of selfishness on the roads. But anyways, that's a whole discussion. So don't road bully, and leave the house sooner. It's not hard. Anyways, 2020, the pandemic year, a lot of good things, but also very bad things. Very bad things. Family member of mine went through COVID and made it out alive. And I'll just say that much. And it was very, very bad for about a month, a couple of weeks on a ventilator, things like that. I won't get into too much detail, but it's very, 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 very difficult. So we made it all the way from March through the beginning of December, and things were really good. But then first week of December, we got knocked on our butts when she had to go into the hospital, and I essentially had to call the ambulance, and off she went. And they don't let people inside the hospitals, so there was no going to the hospital and visiting. We literally sat on the edge of our seats for 2 weeks waiting for phone calls. It was very bad. It was the worst month of my entire life, next to the months and the months during and after when my dad passed away. So very, very bad. Very, very bad ending to 2020. But I will tell you, it is a very good start to 2021. Because my family member is alive. I am taking care of her. And the progress in the healing has been exponential. And we're quite amazed, actually, at the things that God has been doing. And I have a long story, actually, behind this whole event that maybe someday I'll reveal. But I'll save that for another video. So we're into 2021, and we're working our way through winter. Of course, if you're a subscriber, you've seen my maple syrup videos popping up. I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions or anything like that, let me know. Glad to help out. I am here again in northern Ohio. We are in a maple producing area. So that's that. Really concentrating on the more of a self-reliant, so to speak, type of existence. This is probably going into my fifth year of being in this mode of living, so to speak. It first started with me with roasting my own coffee beans. I guess it would have been about 7 years ago when I started buying raw coffee beans and roasting them myself. And that was kind of the building block on what else can be done, essentially here at home on the property and things like that. So it just built from there, and then it got into the gardening. If you've watched any of my other videos, I do live essentially right on the edge of the largest Amish community in the world here in Ohio, and I have some resources that at my fingertips that are pretty great. And every summer I go to the Farm Family Field Day, which is an event held at different farms around the Holmes County area. And it's essentially like a homesteader's day of learning beekeeping, woodland management, chicken, tending to chickens and chicken health, things like that, and way more, way more than that. It's actually a 2-day event, and it usually consists of the majority of the Amish community. This past summer, it was the only non-Amish was myself and maybe 3 or 4 other people, if not counting presenters under the tents, because they put up tents in the farm field. It's essentially held in a field at a farm, and there's food and everything, so it usually works out pretty good. So I am lucky to have that resource, and I take advantage of that resource, and I am around the Amish community quite a bit, probably more than non-Amish. We have the Mount Hope Event Center, where they have an outdoor sportsman show, and a lot of events going around that area in regards to those types of things. So lots of things. This pandemic year kind of put a halt to some things. So we're hoping 2021 is going to get us back on track. I'm hoping the sugar houses get back open. It's just nice to go in and talk to the guys at the sugar houses and talk about maple syrup. Most of the maple syrup in Ohio is in the Geauga County area, is kind of the Ohio maple syrup capital, which is north of me, not far, but it's not close. So hoping this year, 2021, is going to be one of our best years yet, and holding on to some things that might get done this year in regards to finances that might not have otherwise been done in years past. So that would be good, and holding out on that, and holding out and hanging in, really. And I know that's probably what everybody's doing. The whole era of normalcy, or the return to normalcy, is something that everybody is really pushing to get back. I made a few videos at the beginning of the whole pandemic thing. I will tell you that when I was a kid, I was told by many Christian friends and family that someday there was going to be a raid on the supermarkets, and the shelves would be bare. And this past March, when everything started happening, the lockdown happened there around St. Patrick's Day. Well, the toilet paper's flying off the shelf. There were shortages on all kinds of things. We all know that because we all experienced it. But I would tell you that is when that started happening, all I could think of was 30 years ago when dear friends and family members of mine had the vision of that happening. And, you know, me and my siblings essentially were kind of dumbfounded and absolutely mind blown in regards to it happening right in front of us. So I don't even, that's a million different questions and things to talk about there that surround that, but that's true, and it's just one of those things I think about when in 2020 about the whole world. It's just crazy. So moving onward, planning on getting some seeds in. Here in Ohio, we aren't really planting till about May 15th. We had snow May 4th I believe it was May 4th this past year, 2020. May 4th was our last snow. Typically, our last frost is between May 2nd, May 10th, but May 15th is really the ultimate. We've never had snow past May 15th. Never had a frost. So May 15th is our date for planting up through Memorial Day. You got to watch your soil temperatures and everything, make sure they're proper. So that's something to watch out and consider. And just going to get the garden going again. I thought about expanding it, but we'll see. Hoping this summer is a little bit cooler than what we've had the past 4 or 5 years. We don't do much air conditioning here, so I'm pretty used to sleeping in 90 degree weather. Your body cools itself, just doesn't need much. We're built to be self-sustaining almost, in to a point, of course. If it was 200 degrees out, everybody'd be dead, but you know what I mean. So anyways, just glad we're here at a point where we're at and in the positive right now. So moving onward, upward. But taking this Saturday night to just kind of look back at that. So you can see my lanterns up here. I keep those on hand. I get those at a store in Kidron, just up the road, and they supply all the lamp oil. Those are maple buckets there, and that's my fall cider. That's hard cider, so it does have alcohol. So it's my first year brewing, as a matter of fact. Brewing, you can call it brewing, but it's essentially apple wine, but it's hard apple cider. I got the cider from the orchard up the road, and put the yeast in. This is from October, and it's now January 23rd. So it's been in secondary fermentation for going on about 4 months. I forget when I put October 17th. It's been in secondary fermentation. So we're going to get that out during maple season and try it out, see how it goes. So that's it. So you've seen some of my videos in the past. Thanks for watching, but I thought I would just mention, and this video is not sponsored by this company that I'm about to mention in any way, shape, or form. But if you're looking for axes, I have to say I have a single bit Snow and Neely, made in Maine, Smyrna, Maine, and these axes are really great. This is about a 28-inch handle, and it's just curved real nice. It's nice and comfortable. So I use this for my firewood and pretty much for anything. I know there's been an interest in axe making or what have you. So I thought I would just kind of, I have it here because I had it out for firewood, but just out the door, but I brought it back in the house. So I thought I would mention that if anybody's looking for a solid American-made axe, the Snow and Neely axes. So I'm going to cut this out. Thanks for tuning in. And from the supply room, from the Homestead supply room, and the Maple supply room, whatever you want to call it. Thanks for tuning in. Would love to see you subscribe and join in on the journey and the fun and games and what have you. But also hit that thumbs up button. Anyways, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video. And from the supply room, this is Jeff from Jeff Outdoors. Have a good day.